Alright, victims of the cringe, are you ready? Am I ready? Speaking language I barely know in front of people I barely know about the topic I barely know. What can I say? I still love it. It is late in the night and at the time for RPG horror stories. Gather up our cringe console, but today probably we wouldn't cringe so much, but rather discuss some matters that I find interesting to discuss. So there are several stories today, as always. And the first one is problem player taking a sultry bard too far. I'm a player at a table with 5 players. 4 of the players, including myself, as well as the DM, are male, and the problem player, who I'll call J, is the sole female. Male and female. Just like biology. We have been playing at this table for just over a year, with most of us having met through knowing the DM first. Our campaign has always been more lighthearted in tone. We aren't afraid of immature moments, innuendos, or smutty humor at the table. There has always an unfortunate tendency with the DM and some of the other players to flirt with Jay's character at the table, and a little out of game too. I personally find this a bit cringe, but she seems to enjoy this, so it's not really my business, and I won't white knight needlessly. I don't see any reason to white knight, especially when the flirting is cringe. Girls handle such flirting much better than guys do, and much funnier. However, around 3 months ago, Jay's first character was killed in combat and resisted resurrection. I have a suspicion this might have been planned with the DM, as I know she was becoming bored with the PC. No harm, no foul. As though this is some kind of criminal activity, to get rid of a character you are getting bored with. Most of the DMs allow to do just like that. The problem emerges when we are introduced to Jay's new character, a bard who is also a prostitute. And whose charisma roles revolve around flirtation. Not inherently a terrible idea, nor is this a character which doesn't fit the campaign. However, it quickly becomes clear that Jay is getting a little too into this character. If the bard is flashing some cleavage in-game, Jay will also do this herself at the table. If she is physically affectionate in-game, this happens out of game too. This was mildly immersion-breaking at first, as the blatant performance for the people around the table and the subsequent thirst felt like it was distracting from the game itself. But things soon went from bad to worse. When Jay began to openly lift her top and show her bra on near every persuasion check. Excuse me, did you say from bad to worse? Or from what? I can't comprehend what he is talking about being about this being bad. I voiced my concerns here and was essentially told not to ruin a good thing. Fair enough. It has felt like every social encounter in game for the last 2 months has been steered towards getting Jay to expose herself out of game. Well, now that gets a little bit worse, right? Yeah. Every social encounter, watching a bra can get a little bit repetitive if it is overdone, and if most of the party members had already gone through toilet and back after watching that. So it has felt like every social encounter in game for the last 2 months has been steered towards getting Jay to expose herself out of game, leading up to our most recent session, in which her character was railroaded into sleeping with an NPC for information and involved Jay exposing her bare chest at the table, derailing the session entirely. I'm apparently the only one who found this to be out of line. Well, it gotta stop it at some point. It is not a D&D anymore, it is more of a gangbang. At this point, I think my time in this campaign is at an end, and I will likely bow out at the end of the current story arc. I'm certainly not a prude, nor am I judging Jay for clearly being a sexually open lady, but I feel like the core of the campaign has gone downhill in favor of the DM and other players chasing Jay. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good thing. This doesn't feel like a D&D anymore. I'm sure for some, having a topless female player at the table is a dream scenario. It's not all that bad if doesn't happen in every encounter, as he told, in every session also. But I just want to play my nerdy game in peace. Please validate my opinions and tell me I am the sane one here. What do you say, Cringe Console? Is the OP insane here? Or is he sane here? Because on one side we have bare boobs, which are never bad. On the other hand, you know, having a good D&D session is also pretty good. Sometimes even better than boobs. Now the next story I found out just now, because it is very recent, but it caught my attention. It hits a little bit close to heart when the DM is a bad player. So this is basically a rant about a player, but if I'm the one in the wrong, please let me know. We will. Cringe Console, it's up to you to decide. This weekend we will be the first session of my first ever campaign as the GM. I've played in 7 campaigns and multiple one-shots and short adventures. 7 campaigns. I haven't finished one. Most of these were with more or less the same group of people, just alternating who was DMing. One member of the group, let's call him John, he was the DM for the 2 of the longest campaigns, around 2 years in real life for each. John always had really high expectations for his players and his campaigns. He would be really upset if someone missed a session. He would expect everyone to prioritize his sessions and his campaign over stuff like work, family, events, etc. It was a bit much, and I had a few talks with him about it, but more importantly for this rant, he was also always upset when people wouldn't send him the stuff he asked for on time, like backstories or leveling up decisions, stuff like that. Well, I think that this is fair enough. If you don't want to write a good backstory for your character, you can at least send your dungeon master 1-2 paragraphs. As for me, I'm spending most of the time on a backstory of a character, and then I'm not prepared with my spells yet. Yeah, I'm a little bit a noob. Now, in this case, I always sided with him. Everyone can take 10 minutes out of the day to write a backstory. This is what I'm talking about. Plus, I'm the writer theater player. You know the one. I write 15-page backstories and give it to the DM weeks in advance. I make sure to include a summary page at the start with just main points, but send the full 15-page document in case the DM wants to read the details. That's a good strategy. Writing 15 pages, but several weeks up front. This is quite a time. So in this topic, John never had any complaints about me. Now on to my turn to DM. My first ever campaign. We had a session 0 on the 11th of February, where we discussed the atmosphere of the campaign as well as character ideas. I asked for everyone to write a backstory and send it to me until the
30th of March.
What? This is over a month to create a backstory for a character. This is more than 1.5 months to create a story for a character. This timing sounds like stretched out a bit comparing to what I had. For the last one shot, I had 1 day to prepare a character and his character sheet. So, as our first session would be on the 6th of April, and that would leave me with 1 week to analyze all backstories before the first session. Today, the 31st of March, 1 day after the deadline, I ask John if he is still intending to play in the campaign. He says yes. I ask for the backstory. He says he'll send it to me tomorrow, that he has been super busy and hasn't been able to write it for 1.5 months. I tell him that the session 0 was a month and a half ago, which I thought was enough time. His answer? Our life isn't just about D&D. Are you fucking crazy, bro? About what then? That hurt. I feel you, bro. I feel ya. I told him that it makes me sad that he won't put as much effort into my campaign as I put into both of his, but that Yes, life isn't just D&D, and he could send the backstory when he had the chance. I guess it goes to show that when it's other people doing something, it's bad player etiquette, but when it's you doing the same thing, it's justified. I'm surprised he can't see the irony of that. If he was his own player, he would be fuming at himself. What do you think about that? Cringe console. Because this is the common problem of most of the people. They can't see themselves from outside. I think that at some point it could be referred to all of us, not only this DM. Life isn't just about D&D. This hurts a lot. You should not say people things like that. We have another light-hearted, I think light-hearted horror story. My dungeon master admitted to liking me less than the others. This is not a big problem at all, lol, but it's certainly gotten into my head. I've been with a regular group for a couple years now, and we have many campaigns under my belt. There are 4 founding members who have been in every campaign. Me, Dungeon Master, and 2 other players. 1-2 spots tend to be rotated out to more casual acquaintances when they show interest. But then, I'm not sure when it started, but a while ago I noticed DM occasionally making comments directed at the other 2 founding players and leaving me out. Stuff like, hell yeah, you 2 players always have the best ideas, or you 2 are always up for the crazy stuff I throw at you. It sounds a little bit weird. I can't really imagine Dungeon Master saying that during a game. Hell yeah, you 2 have always the best ideas. It wasn't often, but it did start to bug me, because as far as I was aware, I had been here the same amount of time as them and made it to every campaign. I went along with whatever ideas the DM said, the same as them, etc. I don't think that it is a good idea to single out any, either it is founder player or new players, because some dungeon masters tend to prefer new players to old ones. And yes, I'm talking to you. You know who I'm talking to. At first I thought I was being overly sensitive, but after one such comment I reached out to him privately and brought it up, and asked him if I'd done anything wrong. He said no, I haven't done anything wrong. He just liked playing with others more, and they are easier to work with. This is a bummer. This is a bummer to hear from your DM. Harsh truth? Maybe even harder love? But still. He said I always looked rather blank-faced, and he says I am hard to engage. I apologized. Oh man. For what did you apologize? For being blank-faced and said I'm always engaged. I just have trouble with the facial expressions because of some mild nerve damage in my face from a childhood case of impetigo. He accepted that excuse, but also pointed out that I like to roleplay a lot, but he prefers to focus on the combat side of TTRPGs, and prefers to have at least 1 battle per session. But I was holding people up. I apologized for that and promised to roleplay less, so we could fight more. What a pushover. Bros, please stop apologizing so much. This is not your fault that you like to roleplay. For me, it is also the best part of D&D to roleplay, because, to be honest, combats are kinda okay, but they are a little bit of stationary. Yes, at some point, people just stay in front of each other and stare at each other. And that's how it happens. Sometimes. Another issue that came up was our use of systems. He hated D&D 5e, and we changed the systems every few sessions, trying to find something that he liked. This was really hard on me, because I was having trouble trying to memorize new systems every week. How many sessions do you have during 1 week? I would like to have as many of them. So I ended up doing my own research and buying the core books for a new system, which everyone loved. But regardless, he suddenly abandoned it again. Only then he told us that he just liked trying new systems every campaign, and he hadn't actually been looking for a permanent replacement. We're starting our first campaign since we had this conversation next week. But honestly, even though we cleared the air, I still feel twisted up about it. He promised that none of this meant he disliked me, just that he preferred the other two. Yeah, bro, I don't dislike you. I just don't prefer you. This is a good way to say things. And I'm aware that I can't realistically be adored by everyone, but I don't know. I do agree that maybe I'm not a suitable player for him, and I did decide to take a campaign or two off in hopes that he could find someone better suited for him. But I jumped back in when he was struggling to reach quorum. The other members were excited for a new campaign, and I didn't want them to miss out. You're thinking way too much about other people, bro. I'm thinking I'll at least stick it out until I can find another regular to fill my spot. So now you are obliged to fill the spot for DM who told you that he doesn't like you all that much. What are you talking about, bro? But I feel a lot of pressure for this campaign to be expressive and not to hold everyone back with my RP. And I'm worried that my constant need to reread the rules will slow us down too. Well, about that, I guess you... What about the reread the rules? If you are holding back the campaign with your roleplay, I don't really understand that. But if you are holding the campaign back by constantly reading rules during sessions, I think that this is the reason he doesn't like you all that much. This is my assumptions, I don't know. But maybe it is not up for you to fill the spot. Also, he's given the players the task of coming up with the historical events and the mystery for his homebrew world. Now he came up with a homebrew. Why do you need to reread the rules? I still don't understand. And I can't even think of anything because all the ideas I had are already present in the world outline he gave us. I am a mess. So, Cringe Console, I didn't understand the last paragraph at all, but what do you think about the OP in this story? Is he a mess? I think that we don't have a lot of information, but based on what we have, I am a little bit concerned about this reading the rules and buying the books to every other and any other edition of the D&D. The DM master wants to try. Also, I don't understand why the OP feels the need to fill the spot. There is another story I wanted to try today. Actually, tonight. It is called Why I Almost Never Ended Up Playing D&D. A super slow day at work, and trying to dig this up from my memory from almost 70-ish years ago. Main characters are myself, my old college buddy, and of course the Dungeon Master. It's 2017 or 18, sometime around there. 5e is all the rage, and my buddy says that I have just the personality that would absolutely fucking love D&D. He was right. But at the time I didn't think much of tabletop games. I was aware that there was something better to play during a whiteout and the internet is down than Monopoly or Candyland, but that was really it, and D&D was just some old hobby with some weird stigmas and kind of lame memes. But I decided to roll with it and see what everyone was causing a fuss about. So I go out to a place and get my copy of 5e Player Hambone, and I pretty much read it cover to cover maybe 3 times over. Whoa, sounds like a dedicated noob. I'm getting into it, made a really cool character, all that stuff a proper noob does getting ready. Still though, we are missing something. We don't have a dungeon master. At the time I lived with a guy a little bit older than me, and certainly a bit esoteric, putting it nicely. Turns out he's played D&D before, I'm not sure what edition he started in, but it was either 2nd or 3rd edition. But he stopped sometime back then and hadn't followed 5e at all. I was too excited to just give it a try after going through my very pretty new hardbound PHB, Player Handbook. For those of you who didn't recognize that, I just figured it out by myself. So we agreed to a date for a session 0 tutorial, island type deal. So things are rough. Two of us are new, and the DM hasn't so much as looked at the 5e rulebook yet. Buddy only has the general gist of rules, but I'm kind of correcting them the whole while so that the game actually follows some rules instead of just being a Kelvin ball. DM is also playing a character on Tutorial Island with us, and the rogue too. Why is it always the rogues? The setting wasn't from any book or rule set. In fact, I think the DM was just making it all up probably on the spot. I don't remember it a whole lot. We are all level 1 heroes. We are in town. We need to investigate some fishy stuff. I remember that it started with us shaking down the local town provisioner. I'm trying to talk to him and his wife in character and just try to get a sort of orientation in Tutorial Island. DM/rogue is doing something silly. I think he was trying to steal some stuff from the shopkeeper. My body is unproductively, I think, hiding outside of the shop. Unimportant stuff, I don't remember it well, but I want to paint the picture that only one of us at the table is trying to take this seriously at all. I don't understand why dungeon masters want to take player character when they already have the entire world and all the characters in this. It doesn't feel like interesting stuff to play like a character in the game when you know exactly what is going on the backstage. You either want to control everything or you want to be controlled. The real thing where everything goes south is the example combat encounter. Now mind you, we are all three supposed to be level 1. I know, I am. I didn't look at everyone else's character sheets. We go down into a cellar by a ladder, and down there are 3 golems. Now I don't know the exact challenge or stat block on these golems. I've tried looking up over the years when I think back to this, but they were outlandishly tanky for a group of level firsts. I, as the fighter, can barely hit them, and when I do, I'm rolling a single die. It's a pretty pathetic show in which the DM is more than happy to point out. Sounds like a bit of trolling rather than a game. I don't really know what else a level 1 fighter is supposed to do besides hit it. My buddy is playing a cleric and I don't remember him doing much more. Maybe he's spamming Sacred Flame, but it isn't doing anything. What I do know is that the DM is using some very inventive method on hiding up the ladder and using sneak attacks to push out something like 25 damage per turn. I can't do that even on a level 5. Even theoretically, I don't think that I can do it with my monk. Again, level 1. I've never played a rogue, but even I know that he's fudging the rules for his own power fantasy. We don't take down a single one of them, and we somehow end up just running for our lives. Not before one of the golems grabs at my pack and rips it off of me, leaving me with absolutely nothing as we try to figure out how to deal with it. This is a rather annoying point for me because I had gone through the effort to shop myself instead of just taking the starter goodie bag. And now all of these props that I had equipped myself with are just gone. We end up using ourselves as a live bed to lure it into an old, dilapidated building before throwing torches in through the windows and waiting until the ceiling collapses down on it. The whole time the DM is giving us DC 20 challenges on something like my body trying to throw a grappling hook on a branch to pull it closer to us, because we don't want to enter the golems. LOS, whatever it means, and we need something to brace the door with. It wasn't like the throw was particularly far, but the DM also wanted to make it both a dexterity check on the throw and then do another strength check to see if the hook would snag itself on the tree branch. This is on top of shutting us down from a lot of other "can we do this" type of things. I think he actually just wanted to see us fail, because I remember by the end the rogue wasn't helping us anymore and was just basically watching the chaos unfold. And again, this is session 0. Two dudes who have never played D&D before. Oh, this sounds sad. Now really sad. When it ruins a game for beginners. Now I feel bad for them. Thank you, OP. Maybe we could have started with us saving a cat from a tree or beating up some smelly goblins. Somehow the session ends. Buddy and I both agree that Tutorial Island fucking sucked. Later on, we'd joke that we both wish that we just burned down the whole Tutorial Island, despite us supposed to both be good characters. I never bring it up with my DM again. It was already an awkward living situation, and it only got worse. Later, I played a short campaign with my buddy, but it wasn't much of a match. I'm a more serious player, and for him, D&D is just a reason to have friends over, drink beer and have pizza. I found my permanent group much later after a number of middling or plainly just bad one-shots in between. It sounds like a happy end. The beginning sounded like a disaster, yeah, like a waste of time. This is what they mean when they say that no D&D is better than bad D&D. The guy just read Player Handbook 3 times over and was hyped for having a good Dungeons and Dragons experience. And after that he gets to this dungeon master who just trolls him and just basically throws golems at them at the level first. Doesn't sound like fun, but cringe console? It's up to you to decide who was in the wrong in this story.